Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part 1 of episode 10 in the line of succession. We are joining the monarchs of Windenburg today, who are currently arguing over funds for the ball. So, over here we have Etnie, who's just trying to stay under the radar. She's got a secret rendezvous planned with the king shortly. Edward's like, you're spending way too much, you need to cut back, we can't afford this. And Queen Isabelle's like, we will spare no expense, just raise taxes. Scorpia is coming over with Etnie. I feel like they've gotten a good bond going, but Scorpia and the Queen are definitely on a different level. She's been like a mother to her, which is just interesting how things have changed. But so... The king and queen are just going back and forth about the ball arrangements. It's the first appearance of their twin daughters, and of course Scorpia's coming of age. So the queen is telling Edward she wants to open up a house of etiquette for all of the young ladies in the kingdom. And she's telling him how much popular it will make them. And the king's like, that's all great. That will, make everyone happy, but we should probably work on male heir. So she's gonna go and do her duty and start doing that, because that is what he cares about. I'm sure he loves his daughters, but let's be honest, the king wants his male heir. His brother has multiple, so. And Cece is actually currently pregnant, so who knows? They could have another male heir. Speaking of Duchess Cece, she has just sent a message about how upset Theodora is going to be once the queen's present to Scorpia during the ball is revealed. And here we have Etnie, who's on her way to meet the king in his chambers for their secret rendezvous. So she's on her way to meet him. But little does she know, the queen is currently on her way to her chambers because she needs to pee on some barley and see if she is with child. So upon entering the king's chambers, Isabelle is furious and appalled at Etnie's presence. So she turns to her and she's like, what are you doing here? Why are you in the king's chambers? You don't belong here. And Etnie's like, oh, I was just, watching the girls. And the queen immediately gets suspicious and she's like, go out and do some chores. Go farm the land. Get out of my sight. So she sends Etnie away. The queen she's got her mind racing. What would make her think that she is welcome to come into the king's chambers? Why did she seem so comfortable and then shocked once the queen entered? So that's running through her mind now as she's peeing because she always takes a minute to pee. All right, moment of truth. Isabelle, come on. Ugh. Well, let's do it again. We need another child because I have not been keeping track of the famine. And with everything I have planned, we need to load up on some children here. All right, what's the color of the barley? Success! Which I think means it was red or black. I don't really remember. I need to Google it. But the queen is... We know who the daddy is. Come on. It's not one of those again. This ain't Maury. So, Queen Isabelle is pregnant, hopefully with a male heir, but we'll see. Meanwhile, Etnie is now huffing and puffing. She was supposed to have a rendezvous with the king, and now she's being sent out like a peasant to do some yard work, farming, whatever you want to call it, working on the land. So she is not... Oh, those bees are getting her. I hope she's not allergic. That'd be unfortunate. So this is her punishment for being too comfortable. She is working into the night. But I'm curious and I want to go check on Beatrice's family. So let's see. We are at their home, their family home. And last we left off, we know that Beatrice's family wants her to marry. They don't like the change they see in her from being at the castle. And her brother was intercepting her letters like he didn't want her to come home. So maybe we can get to the bottom of that. So let's go ahead and have them have a little chat. So her brother sits down, is like, hey Beatrice, how's it been at the castle? And Beatrice immediately starts screaming frantically, oh my god, it's terrible, there's so much lies and deception and death and murder and poison and fires, and everywhere you look there's a threat, and you never know who's your friend, and it's just, obviously I need to get away for a little bit. And the brother's like, oh my god, yeah, it sounds so terrible. You've been sending all of this money home. It must be so horrible living in the castle. So he's teasing her, kind of mocking her. So she storms away, and he's like, Beatrice, I'm sorry. I'm just teasing you. She's like, I know, I'm sorry. And, you know, he's like, it's just been hard here. You know, the king just raised taxes, and there's just been so much, like, our food, our soil, like, the king's not paying attention, everything going on here. And obviously you're away from it. You're living at the castle, so you don't see it. And it's just been crazy. And, you know, there was even this wild thing that happened. There was this fire that just went up, and it was just crazy because the girl that ran away, I went to stop the fire, and she looked just like you. And she was screaming, I have to burn the barley. And Beatrice was like, oh yeah, that's crazy. That couldn't have been me. Must have been someone else. But I was like, yeah, it must have been. Like, you wouldn't do that. And it's just funny because she even had the same birthmark. So Beatrice just breaks down, and she's like, I'm sorry! I didn't mean to do it. It's not my fault. It was the queen. The queen made me do it. He's like, I knew it was you. How could you do that to us? Do you forget where you come from? And she's like, it's not my fault. You don't understand. There's nothing I could have done. The queen ordered me to do it. She's just toxic. That's probably not a word she would have used, but she's poison. And, you know, I was scared for my life. And her brother's like, I cannot believe it. I don't even know who you are anymore. So he leaves, just absolutely furious. He's like, I'm going to meet up with my friends. Like, I cannot believe you. You are not my sister. Like, my sister would never do anything like this. So he's going to go and meet up with his friends, who no one knows are actually the first start to a rebellion in the kingdom. Started by Beatrice's brother. He is the founder. So he's going to leave, and he's going to head out to go meet up with them. So let's go and meet the first ever rebellion. This place looks familiar, huh? Ooh, the Baron got a makeover. So, probably no surprise, Sloane, the Baron's son, is his second-hand man in the rebellion because he absolutely hates the royals. The Baron does not know, but so the Baron's like, hey, like, come on in. Do you want some food? Are you hungry? Let me go grab you a plate. So they grew up together, and they have a pure hatred for the royals. So he's filling Sloane in on everything that Beatrice just told him, and Sloane's like, I cannot believe this. Like, you know, she probably really didn't have a choice. And he's like, there's always a choice. She didn't have to do that. And he's like, it's scary there. The queen, like, I heard, like, she grows teeth and has powers at night, and she comes out and she has claws and she crawls around and she'll get your soul, and I don't know, anything scary you could think of. That's what he's telling him right now. So he's like, I mean, you can't blame her. And Beatrice's brother's like, I guess, but, you know, it's unacceptable. There's no excuse. And we have to find her a husband. She's lost her mind. I definitely gave her multiple personality disorder from the mental illness mod, by the way. So she is in fact crazy. So they head off to go meet up with the third one, who is Jasper. Jasper is the nephew of the Countess. So the Countess's sister, she decided to marry a farmer she fell in love with, so they lost their title, like any money, land. They're very poor. They're commoners. So Jasper is a pretty boy farmer, and he loathes the royals because of the taxes. The soils haven't been doing good, so the crops have been scarce. Um, he has a pure hatred along with his father. So these boys all grew up together. I've been using what is it? The one world I've been using is like the farming area. And he's like, I hate my uncle. We can't discuss it here. We need to go to the tavern. So they're gonna go and all meet up together at the tavern to discuss their plan of action. Because they're like, we need to strike now. There's a ball happening. It's the perfect opportunity. So Sloane, he's here for a moment, but he's actually going to go back because the queen is supposed to arrive today to see his father. And his task is to try to get invites for some of the peasants in some way, shape, or form. He has to figure that out. So either way, Jasper, his father, and Beatrice's brother, they are all sitting down at the tavern and they're plotting. They know that there is a ball happening and they believe that is their time to strike. They will not have another opportunity like this where the public may be open to seeing the king and queen. Yes, there will be security, but there's going to be so much commotion and people there and dancing. So Jasper and his father believe they can secure their invite through the Countess, since that's Jasper's aunt. And Jasper's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go and meet up with the ladies. We're gonna have time for that, right? He's just such a pretty boy, and I feel like he's good-hearted, but I definitely feel like he's a little bit of a player there. Like, he's fine with mingling with some maidens in his spare time, and Beatrice's brother's more serious. He's like, you need to stay focused. Like, stop thinking about the ladies. Like, that's not what we're here for. So they devise a plan to basically get themselves all invites, and Beatrice's brother is saying again he has to find a husband for Beatrice, and Jasper's like, don't look at me, like I'm not the one, like I'll probably cheat on her. And he's not saying that out loud, but they know it. But so then Jasper's like, wait, like if Beatrice is going because she's like the Duchess's best friend, don't you think that you could use that as an excuse to get an invite to the ball? Like, say you're going there to make sure you can find someone suitable enough for your sister. And Beatrice's brother's like, oh my God, you're brilliant. I can't believe I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right. And Jasper's like, I have my moments. I have my moments. No one gives me enough credit. Like, I'm not just a pretty face, So Beatrice's brother's like, you're absolutely right. I'm going to go do that. Thanks for the idea, Jasper. And Jasper and his father sit down for just an extra moment. And he's like, maybe I'll find someone that we can raise our station, if all else fails. And the father's like, well, if we're successful, we won't have to worry about that. So they all take their leave. So Beatrice's brother goes home and he tells his dad, he's like, hey, I've been thinking about it. And, Beatrice, number one, I want to say I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. Beatrice's like, yep, it's fine. She's playing a puzzle. And so the son's like, or the brother's like, I think that's best. Maybe I should go with Beatrice to this ball that she got the invite to. Beatrice's like, I'm not going. He's like, you're going. Because we need to find her a suitable husband. What better place than the palace with the influence of her best friend, the Duchess? And their mother comes in and she's like, oh, that's actually a really great idea, Beatrice. You should write to the Duchess. And Beatrice's like, yeah, and maybe we can find him a suitable wife if he'll ever settle down so he can stay out of other people's business. And so the mom's like, oh my gosh, that would be great. And, we could get a rise in station, maybe some titles and land. Like, that would be so great. And Beatrice's brother's like, I have no time for a woman in my life. I am concerned about the people, and I will fall in love, and it will be with the peasant girl, not someone who's been served on a silver spoon. So back here in Windenburg, the queen is working on her surprise for Scorpia and drawing up paperwork to adopt her as one of her heirs. So back in the day, that was basically like, you could adopt them, so she will forever be a princess of Windenburg, but she'll never be able to take the throne because she's not blood. But Isabelle's basically thinking, Glimmerbrook is without any monarchy right now. Like, unless Scorpia has a son, she will never be able to go back there. So this way she will always have the representation of a princess. Scorpia is going through hormonal changes because she has aged up into a beautiful young lady. But, her mom hasn't been answering her, and she's very, very nervous about this ball, and she wishes her mom and her sister were with her, but since the fight with Theodora and everything, her sister hasn't been able to come, but she will be coming to the ball, so Scorpia at least can count on that. But so Etne comes in and she's like, look, this is the gown for the ball. Don't you love it? And Scorpia's like, that looks very, very sophisticated for you. Like, that's not for you. And Etne's like, you have no idea. You have no idea what I'm going to become. Because I think in Etne's mind, she wants to overthrow the queen completely. So the queen stops the king and she tells him of her plan. And he's like, I don't know if we should do that. And she explains to him, like, look, it's just an heir. Like, she'll be represented as a princess. And she's talking about the school of etiquette and about sending Etne with Scorpia. But then the king's like, no, she's fine. She's got all the etiquette she needs. She's well-mannered. She's a lady. She doesn't need to go anywhere. And the queen's like, why do you want to keep her here? King's like, I just don't think she needs it. It's fine. Just forget about it. And the queen's like, I will not forget about it. Why are you trying to keep her here? Is it because you have a crush on her? And so the king gets defensive and he's like, you need to stay in your lane. Worry about yourself. She's like, absolutely not. I know you're having an affair with her. I'm not stupid. Don't you understand? Like, that's so disrespectful. And the king's like, enough. Your job as my queen is to endure. And you will endure. I can't talk. And she's like, absolutely not. And he's like, you know what? I'm so done. That better be a male heir in your stomach, Isabelle. If not, you are done. All right? I have made a marriage contract with Oasis Springs, and part of that contract agreement is you have to admit that you have no royal claim and that you are a bastard. You are illegitimate. And Isabelle's like, I will never say that. He's like, your mother was a mistress. You were born before they even got married. Like, you are illegitimate. You need to admit it and put it in paper so our daughters can have this marriage. Isabelle storms the hell off. She is furious. He's like, don't you walk away from me. Get back here. She's like, screw you, or I don't know what they would say. They'll go F themselves. So he's following her. He's like, I am the king. You will not ignore me. Get back here. He's like, you will do as I say. I am the queen. You are my wife. You will still be a queen here, but you are going to relinquish all rights to the kingdom of Oasis Spring. And Isabelle is just stunned. She is fuming. She is seeing red. She's like, how dare you? I relinquish my rights. That means that my bloodline has nothing. And he said it doesn't matter because the girls, one of them is going to be the queen, the future queen. So the bloodline will still be there. And she's like, no, how could you ask me to do that? That's treason. He's like, it's not treason because I'm not taking something from you because you never had it from, the eyes of God to begin with. They get quiet for a moment because their daughter's coming by. Hello, Marguerite. She's like, hey, I'm walking here. She's a New Yorker. Anyways, so she goes into the room and they continue. And Edward's like, you're going to do what I tell you to do. I can do so much to you, Isabelle. I've put up with enough. Like, the favor of the people, you are losing it. I am through with you. You're going to do as I tell you. And anything to do with Etne, you just endure. You look away if you have to. It is none of your business. I will do what I want. I'm done. I am done. You write up the paperwork. You sign it. You relinquish your rights. You will no longer be, nor have you ever technically been, a princess of Oasis Spring. Just then Scorpia comes in and she's like, hey guys, are you talking about the ball? And she's like, oh my god, so excited. We're so excited. Like, oh my god. Scorpia's been getting these really weird, like, demonic, like, things around her. So she goes to mope away. Meanwhile, Etne comes to the king. Oop, don't mind the queen. She's like, what was that about? He's like, nothing for you to worry about, dear. Like, how's it going? Are you excited for the ball? I can't wait to see you all dressed up, my love. And she's like, yeah, these are the designs for the dress. He's like, oh my god, I love it. This is going to be great. And, you know, he's like, you have my heart. I hope you know that. Like, I know this is hard, but just be patient. You know, don't worry about the queen. I have a feeling that she won't be around as she comes around the corner. She won't be around much longer. And the queen's just enduring. She's like, motherfucker. Do you see what I mean? I feel like she's basically like she's becoming a young lady, and now she's getting like, you know, she's part witch. So maybe that's going to be something. So the queen comes in and she decides that she is going to take matters into her own hands, as she always does. And she is going to write a letter to her nephew in support of him taking back the crown. So Isabelle is writing him. She's like, I will send you 10,000 soldiers that I have here for you to overthrow the current monarchy in Oasis Spring and take back our family's honor and put us back on the throne for the line of succession. Isabelle's sister, she passed away, but she had a son. So that is who Isabelle is reaching out to. And she's telling him, you know, I have a princess that we can do a marriage contract with. I have intel that the current king and queen, they will be coming here for a ball. So it's the perfect time for you to strike and overthrow them. They're going to have, obviously, their best security with them. The entire family will be here. Act now. So she's going to go and take this to the Baron so that he can deliver it. But first, Isabelle comes back in and once again tells him, I will not do this. You need to change your mind. I will not write this down. I will not sign this. And he's telling her, you will do as I tell you. You know, you are nothing to me. I don't even have love for you anymore. And Isabelle's like, you don't love me at all. I am the mother of your children. And he says, of 2 girls, nothing, worthless to me. And Isabelle cannot believe the words coming out of his mouth. She's like, okay, no problem. You're right. I'll sign it. No problem. This was her last chance, or his last chance that she was giving him before she sent out the letter. So she's like, anything you want, darling. But man, this hurts. She doesn't know exactly how this is going to affect her, but she has to do what she believes she has to do. So Isabelle has one more thing she wants to discuss before she heads to the Baron. So she approaches Etne and she's like, the audacity. What the hell is the matter with you? Where do you get the nerve? You I don't know what words I can say. You harlot. You harlot, you tramp, how could you sleep with my husband? You know, this and that. Like, I took you in here. I was giving you a better life. And Etne just smirks and she's like, how does it feel to have the person you love taken from you? And Isabelle's like, how dare you talk to me like that, you little girl? And she's like, oh, I'm not a little girl anymore. No, I haven't been for a while, Isabelle. And I know everything. I know, we're not doing that, Isabelle. I know that your daughters are my sisters. I know that they are not the king's. You've been sleeping with my father. I have known forever. And then my mother just has this tragic accident. Like, I don't know that you have something to do with it. Oh, it's so crazy how things have turned, isn't it, Isabelle? And Isabelle's just in shock. And he's like, the king has fallen for me. He feels nothing for you anymore. You need to accept this and learn your place as I step in to mine. And the queen is just, She has adrenaline going through her. She's losing it. The king goes and writes to Oasis Springs, telling them that the contract will be ready and Isabelle relinquishing her rights will be signed as part of the marriage contract when they arrive in Windenburg for the ball. So I don't think he even feels any bit of you know, like regret, sadness, empathy, words. He doesn't care anymore. So he goes and he writes it, and he's like, oh, this is going to give me a headache. But he's excited for them to come to the ball. Everyone's going to be there. Should be a good time. I'm excited. So after the argument, Scorpia comes down. She's like, hey, is everything okay? And Isabelle's like, yes, I have something to tell you. I want to adopt you as my heir. And, you know, you're going to have the title of a princess of Windenburg. You can't take the throne, but it'll be just like you're one of my children. And, you know, you've been like a daughter to me, and I just love you dearly, and I want to do this for you if you're okay with it. And Scorpia's like, oh my God, I appreciate this so much, with, you know, Glimmerbrook kind of being like up in the air. I have no ties to Forgotten Hollow through a bloodline. Like, you're just amazing, and you've been such an amazing mother figure to me, and, you know, thank you, Isabelle. You were a true friend of my father, and you're just amazing, and I love you. So the queen takes Scorpia to go and visit her old friends in Glimmerbrook. Sorry guys, I do voiceovers after I record, so I barely remember their names. I'm so sorry. But so they go in. The queen is upset, but she won't get out of the damn rain. Get out. So Scorpia comes in, and she wants to just, you know, tell her everything about the ball happening. The queen has been letting her visit this family from time to time. And she's like, I want you to come, you know, to the ball. It would be really, really great. Like, it would mean a lot to me if you would. And she goes, oh, no, I can't do that. I just too many people. I can't do it. Blah, blah, blah. And Scorpia's like, oh, okay. Like, I just thought, like, you know, you might be excited to go. Like, obviously, if you don't want to, I'm not going to make you go. I just thought it might be like an honor or privilege or whatever, but it's cool. So anyways, they just kind of continue talking and catching up. So the woman, I can't remember her name, she comes up to the queen. She's like, you need to do something. Scorpia's trying to get me to get an invite to the ball. And the queen's like, you can't go to the ball. Someone could recognize you. You know this. So make whatever excuse you need. Here's your monthly payment. And just keep doing what you're doing and, you know, keep it quiet. So let me explain who this woman is. She is the ex-mistress of Edward's father, the previous king. And she has a son by him and daughter, as we know. So technically Jacob is, he's a bastard. But so Isabelle purchased the evil sorcerer's home for Scorpia because she was planning on doing something. Didn't know what, but... And she put the old mistress here to have her under her control, and she's been giving her an allowance to keep up a charade and tell Scorpia everything she wants Scorpia to hear against her mother. So that is who this woman is. But anyways, the queen's telling Scorpia she needs to go. She has to run an errand, and she'll meet her back at the castle. So she greets the Baron, asks how his trip was overseas, and he's like, oh, I hate it. I hate this job. Like, can you just have me, like, go be an ambassador somewhere else? She's like, we've switched it 3 times. And he's like, well, I don't like any of them. And she's like, I feel like you just don't want to work. Like, you never want to go. You always have an issue wherever we send you. And the Baron's like, it's just not my thing. Like, it's not me, it's them. Like, but look at his makeover. So they're kind of going back and forth, and Isabel's like, I've changed you so many times. Like I'll send you over to one more place, but after that, like you gotta just stay where you're at, man. I can't keep switching you. Then you're not gonna be under the radar. And my husband finds out, then you look too much like my daughter. So she starts telling the Baron she has one thing she wants him to do. She needs him to go over and deliver a message to her nephew. And Baron's like, okay, no problem. I'll leave tonight. I have nothing going on. And Sloane and them are just chatting and, talking about the ball. And Sloane asks for some extra invites. She's like, oh, if they're nobles, absolutely. And the Baron's like, it's not a noble. But just then, Isabelle realizes the flowers. And so she starts panicking. And she's like, what are these flowers doing? Or how did you get these? The Baron's like, it was a gift from the Duchess. Like, it was condolences. She's like, why didn't you tell me about that as soon as you got them? And he's like, oh my God, like, they were a condolence gift from them. Like, I don't know why you're going to have such a big deal. This, why I didn't tell you. Like, you act so jealous. She's like, I'm not jealous. You need to understand. Like, you need to tell me these things. How long have they been here? And he's like, since my wife passed away. Like, why are you acting so crazy? Like, oh my God. She's like, you need to get rid of these. Like, throw them out. Now. And the Baron's like, fine. Beatrice's brother is here all the time. I'll just have, him bring them back and say that I'm allergic. The Queen's like, Beatrice's brother? And the Baron's like, oh yeah, like, they're all friends. Like, they were just here. They were actually talking about the ball. That's who Sloane wants to get the invites for, So, they're good boys, They were complaining about those taxes, though, so you guys should probably, like, do away with those. And Isabelle's starting to piece some things together here. So she's like, oh, they're childhood friends, and, so it's Beatrice's brother. Like, did he see these flowers? Did he say anything about them? And, what connection does he have? I mean, he's probably close with the Duke and Duchess, too, right? And Sloane's writing down every little word that they say. And Sloane's like, oh, yeah, I mean, they've communicated, but, nothing big. So the Queen is now starting to get a little suspicious because she didn't even know that Beatrice had a brother. And now they're hey, Daddy. Sorry, I love his makeover. But, she's getting a little suspicious, and she decided to give up on these flowers because clearly the Baron is no longer of use to her because they have been here for so long and they cause infertility. So now the Baron's daughter needs to really watch out because the Baron's of no use. Anyways, at the Countess and I can't remember his title, oh my God, at their home, they're all having a chat talking about the ball, and this is Lionel, their son. He has aged up. He's a little cutie. Oh my goodness. Trying to tame his hair, though. It's a little wild. But so that is the Countess's sister, Mary, I believe her name is. So they're all just talking, and the Countess is like, come on, like, we can all go to the ball. And Mary's like, I have no interest. Like, society, like, shut me out. I have no interest of going back to court. Like, that's all you. And Jasper's like, come on, Mom, we should go. And the Countess is like, don't you want to find a good match for your son? And so they're all talking about matches and raising their station and getting closer to the crown, etc., etc. Meanwhile, Jasper and his father are actually plotting. Mary's like, you really should go, like, and the father's like, yeah, the food's going to be great. Wink, wink, they're just staring at each other. But so they're discussing matches, and, Lionel, he's kind of turned into a bit of a loner. Like, he does what he needs to do, but he really is kind of like he's just not big on society, I guess is the best way to put it. Lionel just likes to do what he needs to do. He follows suit, but he just likes to be left alone. And the Countess is like, Lionel, like, you imagine the girls that you can meet. And he's like, a lot of marriages don't work. Like, I'd be fine just being alone. And she's like, no, the land and titles you could gain and, favor points. And oh my gosh, there's going to be so many different ladies there. And oh my gosh, I think that's just exciting. And so they're all basically plotting. I say plotting, but it's just marriage plotting. So that is the topic of conversation over this way in Windenburg at the Count and Countess, I guess. Meanwhile, the Marquise family, the mother just got the notice that the dresses are ready to be picked up for the ball. And she's like, oh my God, you're going to look so beautiful. I cannot wait. If you notice that they're in green, I imagine that they came from Oasis Spring. They didn't like the new monarchy, so they made their way here. That's why they wear green. So the queen is doing the same thing, telling her daughter, you need to find a match who's sophisticated with lots of honor and titles and land, and secure a good match for you. And if you do that, then we'll be more established. Your brother, your brother's kind of just in his own world. He's not being responsible. So we need you. We need you, who's always been the dutiful daughter, to do what she needs to do and secure a good match. And the brother walks in and he's like, oh yeah, you do that, and I'm just gonna go and whichever one's the cutest, that's who I'm gonna go up and be like, hey, what's up, hello. And so they all get together. They're like, you need to take this serious. Like, it can't just be on your sister. You need to start thinking about your future. Like, you should already be married by now. This is a team effort for the family. And the brother's like, oh yeah, no matter how ugly, remember, you need to marry them, whoever's the richest, and blah, blah, blah. Best land, best titles, because we're outcasts. As Mom's always reminded us, we're not from here, so we need to make a name, and it's all on you. And she starts to panic a little bit. She's like, oh my God, I never even thought about if they weren't attractive. What if I find them repulsing? Oh my gosh, oh my. So now she's starting to panic. And the brother's like, yep, have fun. Meanwhile, Theodora just gets a message announcing that Scorpia is to be adopted by Queen Isabelle. So she comes in, she's like, what? The betrayal! How can they get away with this? This is treason! How could she allow this? They've turned her against me. They've turned my own child against me. Oh, how can I can't. We gotta destroy them all. Oh my gosh, they want to take my daughter from me. They're taking her away. Mercius is like, yep, I don't care. And his father, though, is like, nope, I get it. That's how it feels. Oh my gosh, how could they do that? And meanwhile, Sigurd is like, Mom, I really don't think it's that serious. It's just more of a term of endearment. It's not like she gets the throne. You're overreacting. And Theodora's like, I'm not overreacting. I know what they're doing. I know how they think. They're evil. They're poisonous. And, this probably wasn't even just Queen Isabelle. It was probably Duchess Cece too. And how can they do this to me after everything I've done for that kingdom? I'll get them. She is on a vengeful path. Whew. That was a lot of plotting and planning going on in this episode. I'm so excited for part 2, where all the plans get executed and put into motion. Whew, it's gonna be fun. And I have not forgotten about Charles needing to be unalived. That will be happening in part 2, unfortunately, but I will have another episode up of behind the scenes with the gowns and all the thought that went into all the outfits for the ball, because I think that's really exciting. And I'm so excited. I'll see you guys for part 2.